Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm your friend InSaxO. Today I'm going to teach you how can you use JavaScript to make a gnome extension. When I say an extension, what I mean is something like this. For example, if you click any icon at the right top corner, you will see a bunch of menus and functions that those extensions provided for you. And what we are going to do is to make such an extension by ourselves. And to be honest, I already did that last night, and we can have a look at it. This one. Basically, the extension only got three different parts. The first one is the metadata .json file. It contains the information your extension has, and then the CSS code. And of course, for this one, I do not need the style code. And the final one, the most important one, is the extension.js file. This is the entry point for the gnome extension. So how do you actually create an extension? Well, the first thing you need to do is to use this command. This command will guide you to create a template for your extension. For me, the extension fill should be screen darker. Then we need to give it an description. Let me just do a copy here. Okay. After that, we need to give it an UUID. The UUID should be, let's say, should be this. First, it's the extension name followed by your repository address or your email. Okay. Then I need to specify the type of this extension. For me, it should be an indicator. An indicator is an attention that has an icon to the top bar of our gnome desktop. So I choose 2. After that, in your current directory, you would see nothing. How can you get your created file? You will have to go to this path, local share gnome shell extensions. Let's get into there. And from there, as you can see, we got our file right in here, folder that we just created by using the gnome extension create command. Then we found something weird. Because as you can see, this line does not correct. So we need to delete it and try to create it again. But for this time, it should be something different. I should say InSaxO.github.com. Now it makes more sense to us. Now if we go to this folder and we do a check, you will say something like this, which is exactly what we want. And we go into it. Now, as you could say, we got 3 files that we just needed. Great. Let's open it. And from here, you can say this is our new extension. And we got our pure extension file right in here. At the first, you may do not understand what this function or what those codes does in this case, but I'll guide you through it. Before anything, here's an entry point, entry function. We created an instance of extension right in here. And that extension, it's just a class. For that class, it has an constructor. It has its own UUID. And when we enable this extension, what I mean about the enable is you go and search for the extensions, you'll get something like this. And you start it, you will see nothing. Right? That's simply because after you have created your extension, for the first time, if you want it to be listed in this window, in this extension window, you have to log out and log in to get it to work. Now, if we go to the extensions, we would say that our screen darker extension right in here. What I'm going to do is to enable it. And what you can say right at the top is a little smile icon. That's our extension. Right in here, right in there. If I disable our extension, the smile wouldn't be there anymore. Now let's enable it. If we click that icon, it will pop up a window. And if I click that item, a pop-up message would pop up. But now I do not want to tell you about those details. Let me just open the old one. From there, I'm gonna import all those code and write it down here. Now, as you know that we have already changed our code for a lot of, can we actually reload this extension? Well, you can do this. You press Alt key and F2. Well, it may be a little bit confusing. Okay, here we go. You press the F2 and R key to reload this extension. Let's say you say Alt with F2 together, you get a window like this. Then you press the R and you hit the Enter key. After that, this extension should be reloaded. But why cannot see any of them? Okay, that was strange. So how can we actually check about the arrows that we got? Well, we can use the general control by giving it the length of our extension. So let me do this. After this command, we shall be able to see the arrows that we got. Here we go. From the top, JS arrow, extension screen darker, IO arrow. When opening the file of brightness switch settings that Johnson, no such file or directory. So it seems like when we read the Johnson file, we got an error. That's something reasonable because we didn't have that file yet. So what we are going to do is to use the try and catch method to handle this error. If we got an error, we just return undefined. Okay. But here's another problem. For our case, this line would be definitely different one. So instead of brightness switch, I'm going to say screen darker. Okay, after that, how do you reload that? You press the Alt with F2 and you give it the R command. After that, we shall be able to see the results. But we didn't. Why? It's because if you get an error, then when you press Alt F2 with R, if you do such a thing, will not work. Only if you log out, you would be able to see the newest version of that. So as I think, the gnome extension development is very hard because the environment or let's say the mechanism for you to develop such a thing is not good. So let me just log it out again. One thing to tell you that is that if I log out, my recording activity would be stopped, so I have to stop this recording for now. So now, after the login, if I turn my extension on, we would see a little button on the left top side. And what we can do here is to give it a try. For example, print out some messages for it. So now if I click this button, you'll say left click. And if I press that button again, if I use the right mouse to click it, you'll see right click here. Okay. I can even show you more. For example, I don't know if you noticed it or not. If I click this button, you'll say now it's on. If I click it again, you'll say and off. Actually, my screen is the brightness of my screen is also changing when I click this icon. I don't know if you could notice it or not, but at least you could see the notifications, right? So basically, why I make this tool, it is I want to make this process as simple as possible. Just do a one click to switch the brightness for my computer. Because as you can see, when I click here, I do not see the default screen brightness exchanger in there. But in my laptop, I got them here at the let's say the desktop computer. I didn't see the brightness adjustment things right in there. So that's why I made this little click. Okay. We can even do more. As I said, everything is possible. We could even do more. From here, you could say an extension which has a let's say beautiful slider. I want to use it, but I don't know how. And in this case, we need to get into his source file, and we're gonna do a check about it to say if we can find the usage of that slider. And here we go. I got it. This is how he created his slider. We could do the same thing by copy his code. The only problem is where you wanna edit that to. For me, I just want to edit right in here. The problem is you may probably do not have the slider imported. How can you actually import it? Here's how he did that. He did it by using this line of code, and I'm going to do the same thing right in here. If you look carefully about the, let's say, the icons or the logic, what he did is first he bounded I don't know what, a value to a function which is called slider changed. We don't have this function yet. We will create it later. And again, here's another one. It's called accessible length. This length should be a string. For us, it should be brightness, and the icon it's a default one. We do not need to care about that. In the end, after we have created such a slider, we need to add it to our box layout. Here we have created a box layout. We need to add it as a child to that box. So in another way should be this, that slider. I hope it's working. So let's just do a quick reload. We get an error. I'm not happy to say such a thing to happen. Okay. After I commented out those lines of code, we get it running successfully. And if we do a right click, we didn't say it's at anywhere. That was strange. It shouldn't happening to us. Okay, maybe we shouldn't add it to a, let's say, to a stupid box. Instead, we should add it here, or maybe somewhere else. I need to think about it carefully. So we get our indicator and we add it to, it should be somewhere else. Let's say, let's try just do that add actor with that slider. No, it's not working. So how about just add child? For now, I have added another function, which is called a change slider, which is the one that we do not have when we created the slider before. Oh, it's right here. Slider change. We should add it into this class. From this, let's say from this one. Okay, we need to manually specify those values. For example, the swap axis should be equal to true. At this time, and the minimum should be equal to 0 for now. The maximum should be equal to 1, and the brightness synchronous, we need to set it to false. For now, we do not need the synchronize, or maybe we need it. Let's set it to true. Okay, let's do an analyze about this. Okay, maybe set it to false. We do not need to do that for now. So the temperature, actually, it is a value that we got from the slider. If we think about this, we should change it more appropriate. For example, we can run a command whenever we did that changes. Before we do anything, let's just print out the values that we got before we do anything. Okay. Now if I reload our extension, we'll get an error. Quite interesting. So let me do some changes about it. Okay, finally, I guess I know where that slider should be put it on. It should be right under the menu. In other words, we need to do something like this. We say this menu, that add menu item with that slider. Now, if we reload our extension, oh my god, we get another error. Okay, here we go. We should probably do something like this. We go on. For example, at the first, we define a second item, which is called item 2. We could definitely do that. Item 2 with pop menu, something like that. Yeah, after that, we say this menu, add menu button of that item 2. And then we could do some changes to the item 2. So here, instead of the menu, add the slider, will say item 2. First add the icon. We probably do not need to add the icon. We just need to add the slider, because that's what we got. So now let's run it again. For this time, as you could say, we successfully got an icon right in here, and we can move around with it. The only problem that I feel like is that the position is kind of weird. It should be here, it should be on the top, but that's fine. We do not care about that for now. Let's rethink about the slider. A slider, it could be a variable. So slider connect with that scene with our function inside of it, and we could say slider accessible lamp equal to that. In the end, we just add the slider. Okay, for now, we could probably print out the values that we got. Let me reload it. Here we go. If I drag this little icon, Lawson will, that's weird. Let me put the printout function in here, and we try this again. Still nothing really happened. How about we just print out the slider value? And for now, as you could say, we got pops up. I drag it to the most right side. We'll get a value probably near 1, and I guess that's already good enough for us. So based on that, we do not need the boiler code all we need is the let's say the slider dot value. If that's not obvious, let me just do this. Slider dot value equal to value. Then after that, we just set it to the value. Okay, what about the monitor ID? Well, we probably need to move it to the top of everything. And now, if we drag this icon, well, nothing really happened. Why? It's probably because we need to round that value for a little bit. I don't know how can we do that with JavaScript. Here we go. We could use a function called toFix to solve this problem. Maybe I should change it to 1. Yeah, that's still weird. Why couldn't see any values out? Oh, as you can see here, we got 0.3. If I click this, I got 0.8. If I click this one, we got 1.0. So it's amazing that we could get the right values there. Oh, here's the problem. So for JavaScript, the format method is kind of different than the Python. I made a mistake here. So for this time, it will just work like what we have expected. If you do not believe me, let's just let me just do this. Reload it, and after that, we could see a menu like this, and we could drag around to actually change the screen brightness of my computer. And for some cases it's quite dangerous to set the brightness to 0, so I have to do a check. If the value is less than 0.2, then we'll set the value equal to 0.2. Yeah, after that, let me try this again. So it works just as what I expected. Instead of specify the other here, I'd like to say thank you for using it. It's a little bit weird. Okay, now if we say we watch it again, it's much more reasonable. Thank you for using. Amazing. This is just what I want. Okay. Yeah. Another problem here is that we should have a temporary value somewhere. For example, here I just save a brightness. The brightness at the beginning is equal to undefined. Okay. Then whenever we have changed the values, we want to also change the brightness value to the value that we have. And after that, if we did a save in here, we want to auto save the brightness. It is equal to the brightness. And after that, at the beginning, the brightness should be equal to 0.5. If the JSON file doesn't haven't been defined yet, then we'll set the brightness to 0.5. Else, if it is defined, we'll say settings. We'll let the settings equal to read JSON file, and we will set the brightness equal to settings brightness. And for this one, as a default value, it should be equal to 0.5. Okay. The only problem is that here we need to also set the brightness as a dynamic value. Clearly we get some error right in here. Okay, we could turn this thing off, but we could not turn it on. I got it. So for the on section, it should be equal to 1.0. For now, at the beginning, the brightness equal to 0.5, and I could change this value to something like this, and we do this switch again. Great. The only problem that we have for now is it is related to the default slider value. So for now, the slider value should be equal to brightness toInt. Oh, does JavaScript has a function called toInt? I don't know. Okay, it has a function called parseFloat. Quite old. It's an old function. So after that, if we go back to our attention, if I set it to, let's say, to here, set this one to here, and I turn this extension off, I enable it again, we will say it's still in there. But we change it to here. We do a switch to save that settings, and after that we turn this off and we turn it on, go back, it's still there. So for now, we have somehow made a brightness switcher with default brightness that we specified for the gnome. I must say, as far as I think, it's very great. Since we are using the JavaScript, not TypeScript, we may probably made a lot of mistakes when doing the development. And also the gnome, it doesn't support the hot node kind of thing. I understand, because if they do support the hot node, it would cause some security issues. Anyway, I guess this extension was great. So I was thinking about how can I publish it to the gnome extension website to let this extension reachable for everyone in this world. Oh, here's a tab called Add Yours. Make your extension. It should be a zip file containing at least 2 files, which is the 2 files that we created. And note that the UUID inside your that must conform to GNOME Shell UUID guidelines. Guidelines could be found in this Wikipedia. What about the guidelines? Okay, the UUID must contain only alphanumeric whatever period that the @ symbol, the underscore, and dash, and your extension must not end with GNOME or yeah, that's correct. I don't have that. These files need to be in the root directory of the zip file. Use zip j when making your zip file to ensure this. Other files like that are like the style file are optional. Okay, so let's say for this case we could update such an extension without any problem. We could do that. So why am I hesitating here? I shouldn't be. Let's see. Okay, here we go. We open this folder, and this is our file script. I'm going to do a compress with a zip file. Okay, and after that, let me see. Do we have to have a refer on this repo and to say if he got the same metadata as we did? Oh, here we should at least have a URL metadata to describe the open source address of our project. Okay, after that, let's say what we need to do. What else we need to do? I don't know. Maybe we should specify the version here. For now, the version should be 0.1 because that's the first version that we got. Let me do a double check about this file, the script that we made. I want to make sure that it's working when I publish it. Here we got a little problem with the first button here. When I click it, the command is not correct. It should be bash -c xdg open with an address of that. Now if I do that kind of things again, if I click here, okay, we'll be redirected to my homepage. Okay, that's cool. So as far as I know, for now this extension works just as I expected. So no problem at all. We could publish it to the public. Use zipj to make such a thing. Oh, okay. zipj. So let's go to the screen docker folder, and from there we just want to make sure that we use zipj to do that. Before we do that, okay, we could do that. Let's say zipj, we got an error. Invalid command arguments cannot write zip file to terminal. How about zipj r and with all of the codes that we have, we still get an error. So actually, how can we do that? Alright, do we need to give it a len like this? No. How to use the zip command to compress a folder? It says that zip r with output blah 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 output file with a folder. Okay, so we can do it zip r i.zip and with a output folder, something like this. Sure, now we got a file called hi.zip, and if we open it, it's just working as we expected. So I actually do not know where the j comes from. It seems like we do not need the j arguments anyway. So for now, I'm going to drag the hi file to the web page. I don't know if it's working or not. Yeah, it's working. Hi.zip. Great. I verify that my extension can be distributed under the terms of GPL, of course, because all of the codes that I used are based on GPL. I agree that GNOME Shell extensions can remove, modify, or resign maintainership of my extension. Maintainership? Yeah, you can do whatever you like since it's open source, and probably I do not have a ton for continuously development on that extension, so whatever you like. Now let me upload this extension. Awesome. Now we got it right in here. We may probably want to upload a screenshot for it, but we don't have a screenshot. How can we actually solve this kind of problem? Well, let me do this. Okay, here we go. We got a screen cards function right in here, and after that, we would be able to, here we go. We got our files somewhere. Well, we should have a, where is that? Okay, now if I do that capture again, go to, I still do not see the capture function. Anyway, let's enable this autosave screenshot. Select area super with F11. Maybe we do not need it. For now, just forget about the short key, super F11. Okay, let me do this. It's clearly not working, so now I'm going to specify it a new screenshot, shortcut, art prints. Oh my god, it's going to let me create. So how about we just use, this one? Here, as you can see, we already have a lot of 4 screenshots. So what we need to do is to use this tool, do a selection on a subpart of that image, and after that we need to actually save it to our local place. Let's say it should be the whatever name, I don't care. And after that, let's go to here, upload a screenshot. Why cannot see the files that I saved? What's wrong with that tool? Anyway, let me do this again. Let me do this manually. Okay, here we go. Finally, we got it right in here. We could save it to our look, and we can load that image for everybody to see the functionality of this. Let's go to a new page. Okay, so here we got this. If we go to the, we couldn't find the page you are looking for. The version is version 1, and the status is unreviewed. What is it? How about I just edit this review here? We do a submit. Say, how can I actually get that pack? Here's the patch. You have these extensions pending. Pending for what? To be honest, I have no idea. I have no idea about how this how the process works for getting a new extension to the gnome website. But clearly, one thing that I know is that others couldn't say this extension for now. Now, what we need to do is to do a backup for all those codes that we have. We're gonna copy all those files into somewhere else. Okay, after that, we are ready to publish this to GitHub. That'll be with one keyword done, and that's it. That's probably it. I don't know. Maybe this is the end of this video. Okay guys, that's it. That's today's tutorial, today's video, and inside of this video we have discussed how can we create a gnome extension basically from scratch, from the basic JavaScript. And I hope you enjoy this one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!